Should we look at that policy?
We can, yes.
It's quite lengthy.
Stream's live
It
now,
is.
everyone, just so you're aware.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
Okay,
that's all
thank you,
right.
Ben.
Go ahead, Cheryl.
Okay, so we have Ben here just to explain a little bit further on the crowdfunding policy as well. So Ben, if you could just talk to this policy.
Absolutely, sure. So we had crowdfunding being used for technology up until a couple of years ago. And it was bringing in a lot of technology in the district, which is great. It just wasn't being, a lot of it wasn't to the standard that we use for our district, and it wasn't providing consistency across our classrooms. So working with the assistant superintendent, Dr. Parand, at the time, we had put a pause on it at the time so we could get a handle on managing all of those devices and all that technology. And that, at this point, we feel that we're ready to open that back up. We have all of our devices under a management platform, and as long as the equipment meets a certain standard that we want to be able to manage it from and be able to support those classrooms and all those devices, we don't see any reason that we would want to, disable a teacher from being able to apply for funding for technology that would go into a classroom to help improve the ability to teach and be able to provide more technical and a lot of the stuff gets into the STEM and STEAM realm of things. So we would like to open that back up and have them have that access as long as we are sure that the technology is the right technology that we can maintain. And then so we put together this policy. The site that we have, a lot of teachers used in the past was sorry, I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's in the policy, but there's a particular, you guys remember?
I can't think of it.
Yeah,
Well,
donors choose. Yep.
Oh, yeah, I
yeah,
was going
yeah.
to say fund me or,
There's,
Yeah.
I mean, there's about 800 right now, according to my research. I mean, I got 9 different ones.
Mhm.
So I guess what I'm asking is, for your aspect, we're only adding to the technology, software, and hardware component of this.
Correct. From my perspective, that's all we had stopped at the time. There are still projects that were approved by the superintendent's office in the past couple of years, but we had just put a pause on iPads and things like that were problematic because they were coming into the network and we didn't have any way to manage them at the time.
Okay, so I feel good that you feel good about that part of it. That we can go with that. I think that, the technology part of it, and I know that with the laws and regulations regarding funding for stuff in our district, I think that this document, in my opinion, needs to just be looked at and worked on. And I think not the hardware tech part, Ben, because you already did that.
It certainly makes sense if you guys want to make it a broad.
The only things that I'm questioning and I'd love to get your opinion on is now that we have principal empowerment, I mean, I would think that if somebody was purchasing something for a school, that you can just get okay with the principal. Review of a draft prior to putting it on or posting it on a website or on, it could just go in front of a principal, and instead of have to go up the chain of command to the superintendent, because the principal empowerment that defeats the purpose then. Those were a couple of my notes. The other part of my note is, and it may be just because I have fundraised for 13 years, I feel as though for this district, I want to know if we don't have money for something in this district. If all of a sudden we don't have money for something and I see it online I understand, believe me, I understand the need for teachers wanting certain chairs. Go for it. I understand that specific stuff. But all of a sudden, and I'm going to use middle school sports because it's what I know. If all of a sudden I see if we don't have something for something like middle school sports or something like that, and we see a need and we see coaches putting that out there, I'd like to know about that as a school committee member. I think that's important. And so in that aspect, I love that stuff to go through the athletic director so that the athletic director knows. So if there's a coach out there that says, oh, we need new uniforms or we need new sports gear, I'd like to know that would have to go through the athletic director first. I think that makes sense.
This policy, though, doesn't this policy require an approval before going out and doing that on behalf of East Providence? Does it require an approval process first?
There is an approval process in there. Again,
Yeah.
I do agree with Jessica that it might be something that more of that lays with the principal at the school. And I don't see any problem with that. The only reason that I think, just like you said, Jessica, you'd love to know if there's a funding issue anywhere in the district. I would love to know if there's a funding issue specifically with technology or hires of the teachers, even of technology that they would be reaching out to the public to help with. So we would certainly, even if the principal's approving, I would still want to make sure that I was aware of what technology specifically was in that request and why, so that we can at least address the why to make sure that we're not underfunding certain things in our technology budget, because that's every day I'm trying to assess what we need to budget for. So I would just like to make sure that we still had ability for the information to come up to the district level. It doesn't have to require the sign off at the district level, but we're all aware of what's going out there for funding approval. In any of these forms, not just like you said, for the athletic director for the district to know when there's a athletic deficiency, just same thing as with anything for technology, or maybe if it's furniture, maybe, Tony Fuela needs to know that the classrooms are looking for this instead of that, things like that.
Is this policy specific just to technology, or does this incorporate anything?
The policy that I have is very good. It incorporates everything. It includes, the federal guidelines, the state laws, the privacy IDA. It's compliant to a lot of the stuff I looked up. So obviously there was a lot of, research done to it. And we don't want to stop this. We've always been the purpose where if you need something or, out of the box thinking, I know we've done a lot of teachers, great teachers have done a lot of out of the box thinking and gotten some really great things because of it. Stuff that we probably as a district could not have afforded to pay for, especially the standing chairs, the standing desks, all that stuff.
The thing that when I was a department head at Riverside, we had a small room that had math materials in it. And the first thing I did when I was department chair, I went in there, started packing stuff up. And the things that I found that people had either purchased or solicited through sales reps, materials that were being used in classrooms. You have to be careful that people aren't going off curriculum. If we purchase a textbook, that's the textbook that needs to be used by the district. Teachers need to be made aware that they can get things that supplement, but there was a lot of material that was going off in every direction. I don't know how I know that having it approved by the principal, but the principals have to be really careful on what people are ordering, that it's not to supplement district materials. Not to replace district purchase materials.
What if we added request form to this?
Yes.
How about this one that I have right here for you?
Yes.
Yeah, because then
It's a fiscal management form.
that's perfect, because then they can say what the item is.
I agree. Yep.
And at the bottom,
Right.
the principal or whoever you want.
Right.
And the only thing that I had added, or the only thing, and a lot of it because of Ben, because of the technology part, I know is a lot more money, but if something is over a certain amount of money, let's just say they're asking for $10,000. And I didn't think about this until afterwards, but I just think that should come in front of this. I don't know who that should come in front of, but if we have somebody that's asking for $10,000, a sports team, a teacher, a school, I just think that should be something that the school committee should know about.
Well, that application that you have, though, that form,
Yep.
could that be part of the process, that a copy of that
Yes,
is submitted to the
That's what I was
to the
thinking.
superintendent, and that could be part of the monthly report?
I
We
think
That
it
could be part of your correspondences.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
I
yeah.
think
I agree that I think there should be a threshold of like approvals, but like if you look at our purchasing policy, I think $7,500 is the threshold that we have to go out to bid to get product. So if someone's requesting $10,000 worth of materials for their class, it should be something that there's a lot of people who are aware of, or even something that isn't, the school committee is aware of, that they're going out for a large sum of equipment, because it won't go through the normal procurement process. That's the other piece to this, is that this gets paid for by the funding company, not by the district. And that, then there's an item being purchased that, just use a random thing we just bought. Say they went out, like Martin Middle School went out and crowdfunded the air filtration system for $65,000. It didn't go through the normal procedure for bidding and pricing and cost that we would have to if it was being purchased by the district. So we certainly want to make sure that if there's a big dollar item being crowdfunded, because crowdfunding is amazing, it can get a lot of money, but it's also a dangerous animal. So I can certainly see where there should be a threshold where it's got certainly approvals that go higher, and certainly be aware, as the school committee, you guys.
Ben, you think that's 7,500? You think for this?
I think it matches up with our procurement policy. I mean, 2,500. Again, I'd have to review it, but I think 2,500 is we need 3 pricing quotes, and 7,500 we need a formal sealed bid.
I think 75. I had 5,000 listed on here, but just because that seems to be what everyone always asks for when I went through it. But but literally all it said was, the school, who it's going to benefit, the website they're using, the teacher, the submitted, the purpose of it, the goal, the goal requested on the website, and the date, and then it just goes on to say it. So the other thing that I just wanted to bring up about this, and this may be because, once again, a lot of fundraising has happened in my background. I asked that anybody who does this, once you receive the goods that you've asked from the people, you either post it, and I, as a school committee member, I would also like to see it. So the same thing is, so if you asked for money for, the stand-up desks, a picture of it, which most teachers do anyway, a picture of it on Facebook, or a picture of it sent to the school committee, after the fact.
Maybe that'd be part of the policy, that it goes into the school committee's announcement. With a thank you to the public.
Anything that I've done in the past, the best way to raise money and to show the public that you've spent the money is the fact is the actual product. They have an all or nothing. Some school districts have an all or nothing policy, which means you either raise all the money, and if you don't get it, all the money goes back, or you have a keep it all policy where, you get to the reach. So that's the other thing that I have an issue with. What if they don't raise all the money? What happens? So if you have a goal of 5,000 and you don't reach that goal, do they spend it? What do they do with it?
Yeah, I think That's certainly something we should add in there, but I think Donors Choose, the site that I was working with and that, I was investigating most of this on, has if it's not funded, it's not funded. It's you have a goal and they fund, if the whole thing gets funded, then they procure the product. Again, I was looking specifically at our technology ones we've done in the past, but I believe that if you ask for $3,000 to buy something, if you get $2,500, nobody gets that money. It doesn't actually go anywhere until the whole project is funded, I believe. So it's certainly something we should add in there, is if that's the way we want to handle it. I think because the money doesn't go to the individual to buy something. It always handles that entirely on the back end, which again is a good thing in my opinion. I don't think this money should be handled by individuals.
No. And that also is the other thing is, we need to look at that. I mean, Kickstarter, the Adopt a Classroom, the GoFundMe, the Donors Choose. I mean, a lot of them have different ways of doing things. So I think, I think it's a great scenario. I think all this stuff gives everyone an option to do it. I just want to, obviously just get it going. So people, I know people are already using it. Not so much for technology, but I know it's already out there.
Yeah,
I
think there was an informal process put in place a couple of years back where it has to come to the district for just a check off that we know this is happening. But this will be, I think, is our first formal policy we would put out there.
And I like the idea of this paper coming in front of us so that we know what, once again, I'm going to use middle school sports because I know we don't have any right now, but hopefully we will. But when we didn't have it, it was such a big deal. And this town was the city was so behind everybody. They were willing to do anything and everything to fund it. And I really would want to know if a sports organization all of a sudden decided that they needed something and we did have the money. They just didn't know it because we may not have coaches that live in the city or coaches that are from the school. So they may not know it. And I shouldn't say that because of course Greg's going to let them know that. So that doesn't even really work anymore. So that doesn't work. So I just want people to know that, if we do this policy and we put it in place, the school committee does know if we do have some deficiencies. And when we go to budget, maybe that will help us.
Could we just clarify the mechanics or if somebody fills out a request form, say I'm teaching at Riverside and I submit it to Mr. Perry and he approves it, whose responsibility is it to then forward that paper to the school committee, to the correspondence part? Would that be the building principal?
I think it should be.
Yeah.
And my thing is when we alter these policies or add to policies, how are we communicating that to principals?
They all receive the updated policy to add to their policy booklet.
Thank you.
So it's approved. Sharon puts it in the format and each school gets a copy. Plus, as we do the approved ones, I know she's sending them to the IT department to put on the website.
Okay.
And Karen,
so if we could include in the policy that the building principal will then submit only approved ones, certainly not any that were not approved, to the school committee as part of the correspondence portion of.
So why wouldn't you want to see the ones that aren't approved? So you might look at that and say, gee, he didn't approve this.
That's true.
Oh, okay. That's true. Yeah.
To know why. Yeah.
At least
that's
you know
true.
what the need is.
Sure.
And the other thing is, Karen, wouldn't you think something like this would be brought up at a teachers meeting, after school faculty meeting? Would a principal bring this up?
Maybe it's something that this would go to the SIT team. It wouldn't. Just thinking
it should.
Instead of it being a single person's decision to approve or deny these, maybe it's something that the SIT teams need to be involved in. at that level, because then they have multiple people involved in making
And that you're saying, now that you're saying that, and Jessica would know, I know when I taught at White Neck, we had quite a bit of money. We were big with fundraising.
Yeah.
And we then had an application for teachers to fill out for requests. And again, how
Yep.
and we created a board, a group of people that met monthly to review those requests and prioritize them. And it worked beautifully. It because I might have one opinion, somebody might have another, but as a consensus. So I think the sit team is a perfect idea, Ben.
Yeah,
Thinking
so do
back.
I.
Step is a review by the sit team,
Yeah.
signed
Yep.
by them, then a review by the principal.
Yeah.
And it goes, it's not one person looking at it.
Perfect.
That could-
Yeah. I think
But
that's
I
a good
would like,
idea.
I would like the faculty to know about this as soon as possible. So if they could, like the whole faculty, so if a principal could speak to the faculty, letting them know about, filling out the form and getting it out there, so that if people want to do this as fast as possible.
Yeah.
That it would be.
And I would say that I would make this into a digital form, to be honest, to make it easier for the teachers to fill out. And then it just goes on to the sit team's, list of things to review together, because principal's on that committee, so they would get review and either approve or deny that. The only thing, again, about like Karen's point is, I'm a big consistency person, is that I want to make sure that if Martin is filling out, 50 of these a month, and then Riverside's filling out 4, and that there's a lot of, funding that's being requested from Martin, I, as a district person, would say, I would be usually saying, hey, Rob, maybe you guys want us to do some more of this and this and this on your end if you're interested, because I like to have that the math program at Martin and Riverside are doing similar things. Not the same, obviously, each classroom's unique, but I like to make sure that they're doing some similar things. And if one school has a great idea, I try my best to make sure they're both involved in it.
And Ben, that actually was an issue in this district.
I know.
It was not equitable with what was going on between.
That's where I'm not sure.
Because there were 2, it was obvious that one was, had more than another or whatever. Yeah.
And
the public doesn't always realize that wasn't funded by the school department. They were individual teacher efforts or groups, but it looked like the school department was providing one more than another.
And Karen, you're still going to we have some teachers that spent, just by me looking on Facebook all summer doing these unbelievable COVID method thingy-doos all summer. I didn't see a couple of them ever put out a GoFundMe. So where they came up with their money extra, I don't even want to know. You're always going to have that and those are those you just want to hug them. You just want to say thank you. And like you said, this is an extra thing. I don't want anyone to do any more extra work. This isn't about doing the extra work, but this is a procedure and a protocol, so that we know where the fiscal management, and we do know if all of a sudden we need to look into buying more stuff. If everyone's all of a sudden asking for certain things and it all seems to be the same things, like Ben said, the same certain technology. I will be honest, Ben, since you stepped on board, we're going the right direction. So I'm not gonna, we don't have closets.
I think that's important. I think it's important.
I still have the picture of the closet. I still have it on my phone, so I'm not gonna lie. The egg crate in the closet, you can't get that out of my head.
It's planted in my brain forever. Absolutely.
Okay, so that is, Mr. Ferreira took me on many tours in many bad places. I just never opened up a closet with an egg crate like that before. I'm very happy that if we can do this, and I hope, I'm sure there are no teachers watching right now, but if anybody does need something so tiny and so small and they just think it's not worth asking, I just, especially in this time, please ask. And especially if it's COVID related, please ask. if it's wipes, if it's disinfectant, if it's, please ask. That's not something that we want anybody crowdfunding for right now. Like, it just doesn't make sense. That's what I need to just put that out there. There's some rumors out there. I just want to put that out there. As Karen says, ask us, come to us, look us in the face. We'll be happy to answer those questions.
Yeah, and where, like from my perspective, we've done a lot in the last 3 years with technology that we hadn't done before. And like I said, I'm a big person about consistency, trying to keep things stable in a way that we can support them across the district. But there are classrooms certainly that have come to us with very, very cool, unique interests on ways they want to do things, and we'd love to support them, but it's a huge cost. So this is a place where crowdfunding could be beneficial, and that my interest would just be to make sure that if that's happening at one of our elementary schools, that all of the elementary schools are aware that it's happening, so that they all have the same opportunity to potentially do that if their teachers are interested. I've had teachers who came to me who wanted to put, back when we had traditional classroom, but they wanted to put some QR codes with augmented reality stuff for their math class. And awesome. I thought it was great. It was really cool. It's just, we did not have the equipment to support that, because, I have to look at the whole district and provide that for everyone, not just one particular classroom. So that's where I do think that crowdfunding has a good place to augment what we can do as a district. But again, I just want to make sure that when it's happening, that, the equipment that comes in, I can maintain it as well as I can maintain anything that we buy, and that, especially consistency, especially if it's going to one of the middle schools. I would like make sure both middle schools are aware that it's happening, so that they can, hopefully jump on board. Or if it's happening at elementary school, that all the elementary schools are looking to do the same thing, or not. If they're not interested in doing it, it doesn't make sense, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that either, as long as we can support it.
As an example, when we used to do the math night at Riverside, we made posters to hang around the school, and I had gone to Staples to have things enlarged, and I couldn't believe how much it costs to enlarge just a simple black and white poster. And one of the aides at the school, I was telling her, and she said, the high school has a machine and that enlarges, and I bet they'd let you use it. So sure enough, I called, and they said, yeah, as long as you buy the paper, because the paper is what was expensive. And so we bought a couple of rolls, used it quite a bit, and then ended up going on a crowdfunding site to get our own. So now Riverside has, to make posters for classrooms. It just is it's used a lot. But it was from somebody else had purchased one through whatever funds the high school had gotten it from, and then we used it, and then we wanted it. But when you share with other schools, they don't even know what's in buildings. I didn't know the high school had that.
Karen, that's actually a really good point. That's actually a really good point, especially, I know we had an issue with a laminator. I apologize. I may have broken one of them a couple of years ago at one of the schools, but it got fixed. But that is a good point. We don't know. There are other, we're in COVID, so we can't do it now, but in 2021, hopefully we'll be able to. The other schools have stuff that we can borrow and use. And you are right. There are, we bought a Cricut at Waddington for the PTA so teachers could use stuff. Yeah. I'm not really sure what that is, but I know it does cool stuff. But I think that's important to know, that there are stuff out there for other schools that, once this is over, that they can use and get through. And I do have to apologize if anybody does hear this loud snoring and annoying anybody. It is my dog, and I apologize.
No, we don't hear anything.
It's really loud.
Doing a good job.
I just wanted to say, so housekeeping purposes, I think the fillable form, because we'll be able to definitely get a lot of great data from that, what's requested from the district. Jessica, the form that you currently have, if you can send that to me.
I will. Yep.
And then some of the things we talked about, on the policy itself about having it reviewed to the SIT team, signed off by the principal. I'll try to do some of those things at the beginning of next week and send you what it would look like as well as the form.
And we'll put
Awesome.
next meeting for first read. And we won't touch any of the stuff, any of the other stuff that was on there. Cause honestly, I think it was great.
Right, right.
And I downloaded a lot of other ones and read them, and it matched up, especially with these, state and federal guidelines and other stuff like that. So,
So if I do leave it the way it is, put the couple things we talked about, I'll get it to you too, so that you can take a peek at it, and we'll have it on a first read for October.
yes. Yes. The other thing about the mask policy quickly, can we call it a face mask policy? Can we not just call it mask policy? Can we put face?
Yeah.
You know how we have, it just says mask policy. Can we put the word face in front of it?
Okay. And other than that, are we okay with that?
Did we want to add at the bottom, what Diana Clarkin put that, because I think that's what she put. I mean, I don't even know.
Right. Like she was saying, all students and staff will follow the policy and procedures mandated by East Providence Reentry Plan. Discipline for non-compliance will be directly addressed by the appropriate administrator or his or her designee.
Right. Because that's like the that's like the protocol, like that's, yes.
Okay. I think we should add that to the bottom.
So do I.
Okay, so I'll have
Is
that
that
added.
redundant though? Jessica, can you read your paper?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I have it.
So if we copy the top, if we put, instead of mask policy, we put face mask policy, because
Yep.
I mean, I know in a couple years this may be gone, and I
Yeah.
hope it's gone. I don't want anyone after us to come up and be like, mask policy, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Actually, I want
Right.
them to be. I want them to be like, who in their right mind thought of this? I really do. I really want them to be like, this was the most ridiculous policy I've ever seen in my life, because I hope that this is just, mandating all employees, visitors, and students wear a face mask covering, in parentheses, that covers the nose and mouth while on school property, facilities, transportation vehicles, including school buses, and or engaged in school activities for as long as mandated by the governor of Rhode Island. Period. In addition, the protocols recognize this, and this aftermath is to cover us
Right.
for any other issues, so that pretty much anybody who can't wear one, this is what this says. In addition, the protocols recognize the CDC guidance that wearing face masks may not be possible in every situation or for some people. In some situations, wearing a face mask may exacerbate a physical or mental health condition or lead to safety concerns. Adaptations and alternatives should be considered whenever possible to increase the feasibility of wearing a face mask or to reduce the risk of COVID-19 spreading if it is not possible to wear one. And then do you have that?
And then
All-
Diana's statement.
Yep, all students and staff will follow the policy and procedures mandated by the East Providence Reentry Plan. Discipline for non-compliance will be directly addressed by the appropriate administrator or his or her designee.
And could I ask that at the end, maybe this is, could we have just a sentence saying that the safety and security of all staff and students is the number one priority?
Yes.
Something is the priority of these
Should we
Brown
put
School
that at
Department.
the beginning?
Yeah, just to make sure
Put
that
that
it's
at the
clear that,
beginning, though?
Well,
So
I think that could be at the beginning.
reason for the policy.
okay,
This
Okay.
That's
policy,
what I think.
we're enforcing this policy for the safety and security of all East Providence, or however you want to put it.
All right, so the safety of students and staff.
It's actually family too, because I mean, my daughter wears her mask at school to protect us at home.
Students, staff, and community.
yes, yeah.
I mean, the bus drivers are wearing it to protect
Yeah.
their family at home. And by the way, my daughter at school wears it and has, you know, the brain break, as they call it at the middle school.
How's she making out? Does she love it?
Well, I'll let you know today when she has her first quiz. So
Yeah.
I'll tell you after
How
tonight.
does something like this sound? So the safety of students, staff, and community is our top priority.
Yes.
Yes.
Into the policy.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll add it.
Therefore, mandating all employees. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. Yes.
Good.
Yep.
Yeah, and it implies why we're writing a foolish policy, that we have to have disciplinary action
Right.
on kids who are non-compliant to keep the others safe.
Right,
right.
Like our intent is not just to punish, but the whole
Right.
intent of this is to
The whole
ensure
thing is for
the
safety reasons.
safety of everybody. Yeah, no, I like that. Just,
Right.
yeah.
Because
Okay, so I'm gonna work.
this book, which has the policies in it, which I got in 2014, you know, will live on. And I'm hoping that one day that this policy, because this COVID is gone, will no longer be able to have to be in this book.
Yes.
And then someone will look at it. And I mean, some of these policies that I have like this one, and I'm just about, was written, as you can see, in 1978.
Right,
Wow.
You know, the
Right.
original policy was in 1978.
right.
Since then, it's been revised, but I'm
Right.
hoping that
But
this is one that won't have to be revised.
But this policy, I just didn't want it to appear that it was written to punish.
Right,
No,
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
we're doing it for a reason. It's to
Yeah.
ensure
Right.
everyone's safety. It's
And I
not
will
just-
let you know, as an example, of someone who has have to wear it in school, she is doing well wearing it.
Good.
They have air in the building. You know, she does dress appropriately. She's not happy that, you know, I make her dress appropriately. But she does they do have the breaks and she does do, but Karen, she very much likes it at Riverside Middle School.
Good. Who does she have for math?
D
Deb
as of, I can't pronounce her last.
DeRezzo?
Thank you.
Yep, yep.
Karen, how do you say that name?
DeRezzo.
DeRezzo. Okay.
Yep,
DeRezzo.
DeRezzo.
She has a quiz today and she's very nervous. And she has a quiz in social studies today. So she was a little nervous today going in, but you know, I'm happy that she's happy. She's happy in school. So I'm happy she's there. So, you know,
Awesome.
that's what making these policies, you know, we try to do what's best for the kids and the teachers, and, you know, being able to make a policy like this, the mask policy, you know, you want to make it so that they're healthy, you know, and that they abide by it. I haven't seen anybody, I do drop her off, you know, I'll be honest with you. I've been to a lot of schools. I don't walk closely to the schools. I don't want to be entangled in webs in the schools, but I have not seen any kids having any issues putting them on. Kids are all the schools that I've been to, and I apologize, I have not been to the high school yet. My daughter's home in the morning, so I don't get there yet. But all the other schools from afar, I don't want to be entangled with that web to be so close, but I will stand there. I will watch. Their masks are on before they're even out of the car, most of them. If not,
And somebody told me the high school kids, they've seen them walking home still with them on.
Yep.
Like they don't rush to rip them off as
Nope.
soon as they
So-
get out the door.
I
I
will
can
let
tell
you
you,
know.
we really haven't had any issues with
Nope.
students.
Awesome.
My daughter walked home yesterday with
Awesome.
4 kids. All 4 kids wore, and 2 of them are in like their pod of friends. All wore their masks up until, and I actually had a police officer who texted me that how impressed that he was that they
cool.
had masks on up until they separated while I was at work, which I thought was very impressive.
Cool.
All little kids, they're not unbelievable. I watched kindergartners walk to like literally. So you know, I don't think it's that much. I think it's the norm right now.
Yeah.
working in the restaurant, you know.
It's been cooler too, thank goodness.
Yes.
I
yeah.
think that heat would have been awful with the couple of weeks we
yeah, well,
had.
I think
That
you know,
would've-
with the heat on in the winter, but with the windows open, I think
Yeah.
we'll be okay. You know, I think if as long as we keep the windows open, because I know a lot of these schools can get really warm really fast.
Sure. Yeah.
But then again, you know, they could get the opposite. So I do want to let, you know, kudos to all of everybody for keeping that. I know it was going to be tough with the mask. I know how hard it is to work with that mask on. I do it for 6 to 12 hours a shift. So it is tough. So,
That's
we are
great.
going to look at a couple more policies, Cheryl.
Oh.
We're going to bring to your attention. Karen and I have a couple. Cheryl and Karen, I do want to talk about now that Karen, I used to talk about this thing called a workshop a lot, where we can sit down and talk
Yeah.
before
You
we
talked
sit
to
and
me
perform a
about that.
policy.
Yeah, you
so
told me
that-
about. Bye.
Yeah, so that we can just talk about stuff where there's only 2 school committee members on right now anyway. There's no third that I'm aware of in this meeting. Where we can shoot ideas out without I don't know, just shooting ideas, writing them on paper, seeing what works, what doesn't work before we sit and formally talk like this.
Yeah.
I would like to try to do that on a couple policies coming up, because I don't know if my ideas are even worth even mentioning. I'm going to be flat out honest. They may be so far-fetched that it's not even worth mentioning. I had mentioned it to Cheryl even before. I mean, Ben coming with this one and typing it up and bringing it to us was so amazing already.
Sure.
I'm not at that process with these yet. I want to sit with your brain, really much so, with a couple of these policies before we even get to a point of typing something. So
Yeah.
I would really like to do that before we have the October meeting, the second October meeting, if we're having that one, or the November meeting for the next policy. So I really would like to do a workshop more than a Zoom meeting at this point, if that's okay.
And so you mean in person?
We don't have to do in person. Nope. We can do this. We can do it on the phone. We can do whatever.
Oh, so we can do it on Zoom?
Yeah, I just want to
Yeah.
do more of a informal, your ideas, maybe Google some stuff,
Yeah.
like where we have
Yeah.
to do research on some stuff.
Great.
Because
I
I
love it.
While I'm on this computer and research this book at the same, it's very difficult,
Yeah.
especially to try to get an actual meeting going, because I know we're timed and stuff. So,
And I think when these are actual meetings, it's not like we're colleagues that get to work together every day. And be
Right.
able to- so we're here trying to work on it. Now, this is really more of a workshop.
right. This is more of a workshop than a meeting, because there really is no, I mean, there's an agenda, but we're not working through anything that, like,
Right.
and I think that's kind of where I want to be. I want to be just like I've talked about school committee meetings. Like, we are not supposed to go off topic. We're supposed to go directly A, B, C, and D, but there's stuff in between when we're doing policies that we may need to get to. Like I'll be honest with you, the crowdfunding brought in a couple ideas of mine that can go off of the crowdfunding.
Yeah.
But it's not on our agenda, so we really can't talk about it. But if we were having a workshop, we could have talked about it today.
Yep.
So I
That's true.
you know,
Yeah.
I just thinking about it, just one thing you said, Karen, brought me to an idea about something else. And,
Yeah.
so inventory, stuff like that you talked about, that's stuff that I think we need to look at. So I'd like to look at doing a workshop. And I know Cheryl and I know Karen, how you feel, so I have no problem, but Cheryl and her and I can sit in an office 6 feet apart, long table and stuff.
And have you on video.
And have you on video with a couple computers to Google stuff and this massive book in front of us, so that we can see if there is a.
And I'll check with Ben Scungio, but I believe if we call it a workshop, you don't have to have it like.
I have checked with the
everybody.
lawyers previously and with this current lawyers. We can have a workshop. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, we can
Yeah,
have a
you
private,
talked about it to me quite a while
I
ago,
mean,
yeah.
we can do workshops private and public. I have no
Yeah.
problem. I have no
I just
problem.
feel
But can
like-
we do it, can we do it public so that, what I like is when other members like Ben contributed, Diana's contributed.
Yeah.
I've
Well,
even been
we
to,
can ask anyone we feel we need.
Of course we
well,
can.
and I've been to, the building facilities meetings with Charlie and Tony. We
Yep.
got clarification that as long as Sharon is posting it,
Yep,
Yep.
and we're not taking any formal vote,
right,
Right.
yes, we could all be there.
right.
So I think we may have other members, particularly, I know that Tony, feels strongly about, buildings and maintenance issues. If there was something on a policy that we wanted to look at, or that he wanted us to look at,
Mhm.
they could come as well. They could join us
Correct.
as well.
That would have, yes, that's when we would have, yes. And then at a workshop, any administrator can come in. That doesn't have to be a public meeting.
Yeah, yeah.
But a workshop, literally anyone could bring any information that they possibly could. And like I said, that we can have school committee meetings where there's a workshop where it's just, the title says workshop, and this is what we're working on. There's no votes
Could we
taken.
have an agenda now? Yeah, clarify that for me.
I don't know,
It
Karen,
says
I've asked
workshop.
2016 for them.
Now, because well, as you know, a member has asked us to look at restraint policies.
Yes, we're going to be looking up that. So we do have one.
And that person, and I asked that person raised some issues to me. And I said, gee, I think you should join us.
Yep.
And share those. And he said, absolutely willing to do that. He's not being critical, or it's just very helpful. One issue that he had raised, I thought was extremely valid, that the state law says you have 24 hours to notify a parent.
2 days.
2 days, well, whatever it is.
Yep.
But notify them how? By phone call? Somebody could deny they ever got a phone call. Should it be certified mail? Like, there were certain things that he's very legitimate.
Right.
And how should, so I said, gee, you need to come, because those are things I hadn't thought of. I thought
Right.
the policy was, as it is way more than we needed. To me, it was repeating state law.
Right.
Because I know that Ben, when we were negotiating last time, Cheryl and Jessica, when I was on the other side, I know that he kept saying, if it's in state law, there's no point in repeating.
Right.
You
And
get
that's how I
redundant.
felt. That's how I felt about the mask policy. And I
Yes.
went back and back and back, and all I saw was the Department of Health said there will be a
Yeah, but
I
they
couldn't
never
find-
did.
I found it in the Providence Journal, but I found no written wording from anybody.
Right.
Ben Scungio
No.
didn't either.
And
Yeah.
No written wording.
Ben said he didn't do it for any of his
No,
customers.
it says it everywhere that there will be a mask wearing but it's not
Sure.
written. It says it, but it's
Right.
not.
But I think that the state policy on restraint is very thorough, and I don't know that we need to be redundant and repeat
Mhm.
all of that. We need to look
I
at.
think
Okay,
you're all
so
safe.
can you see
by
this?
going.
Can you see this? I just want you to see this. Can you see
Yeah,
Yes.
where it says the dates,
yeah,
and then next to it says workshop,
Workshop,
business,
yep.
community
Yeah.
forum. This is a school committee.
but what's the business one? What does that entail?
That's all
Budget.
money.
Is
That's
that
all
the
money.
school-
That's all money.
So
That's
none of those are the actual meeting themselves,
these
the
are all
public
this.
meeting.
Yep, this is all meetings, but this is
Wow.
all different meetings but they have their money. Theirs is a little different. But see, one's a workshop, one's a
Yeah.
workshop.
Yeah. Wow. Can we schedule one for next, how long
But
does it have
but
to
our
be
workshops-
posted?
we would
I
have to
think you
discuss
still
what we
have
would,
to follow the posting rules,
And what is that? How many?
48
Is that-
hours.
So because I had told this other, it was Joel, I had told Joel that the parent that had inquired, who's not angry or upset, they just had some questions. He got back to them and said we would be looking at it, and they were thrilled. That not for them, but for anybody else in the future.
yeah.
So I would like to, because he told that person that we would be looking at it, I would like to look at it as quick as we can.
And I think that we should ask Leslie to join the meeting.
Absolutely. That's, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, great. Great.
I actually, well, I think we should ask Leslie and any, yeah. The person who does the training for our restraints, Mark, I cannot pronounce his last name.
Arcola.
Yeah. Yes, he's a physical education teacher in our district. ACCI, tall guy, dark hair.
I'll find
What
out.
school is he
He
at?
works at Waddington. I didn't want to throw that out there, but he's a great guy. He
Maybe
does
we
the
could get him coverage. Oh, no, we
or
can't
we
now.
can do it after school if he can come.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
If he can just come on the phone, he's a great, I heard he's an amazing, he's amazing teacher at this.
and could you include, Cheryl, could you include Joel Montero
Yeah.
with an invitation and a Zoom link?
Okay.
It just, are there certain days that are better for you during the day?
If it's during the day, you just need to tell me when, and if we do it at lunch, it's best for me.
At
Fridays
lunchtime?
are, Fridays are fine right now because I'm not working until the evening.
So you want to try for
Next Friday? I'm good with
And
that.
you-
If we
I
can do
am
next
too.
Friday though, in the morning time, that would be best for me.
This time
Like what
again,
time?
10,
9-ish if we could.
9,
9 would be fine with me.
me too.
Mark might not be able to do 9. I'm assuming he'd be in school, but maybe he can just give us some wording or any kind of information.
I'll talk to him about it.
And if we could mark this as a workshop, because once again, I really would
Oh,
like to
good
be able,
idea, yep.
if I really would like to be able to Google and talk about plans and stuff.
Right.
And not write anything down. I don't know. I like to see how this, I don't know.
Jessica, because it's a workshop, should we then invite all school committee people?
Well, I don't know. I
And
would
so
have
that
to,
nobody gets,
I have to legally see how that works.
nobody
have
gets
to
their
ask-
nose
have to ask
bent.
Ben.
I don't want anybody
Yeah.
to say they weren't involved or
Jessica?
included.
Yes.
Do you want to send Ben Scungio? Why don't you send him an email and say
Okay.
what we want to do?
Okay.
And just to make sure that way I can instruct Sharon on Monday.
Okay. Got it.
All
But
right.
if he says that multiple school committee members can attend, can I
Yeah.
just ask that that all school committee members are invited to
Get an invite.
participate if they
Yeah.
wish, just so that nobody, I don't want anybody saying they didn't know or.
I know. No, I
Because
hear
that's
you.
coming up a lot publicly that people didn't know. I don't want to be accused of that.
Okay.
Okay.
So Jess, you
And
get
I believe
me on that.
that Ben looked into, I believe, because I sat in on, 2 or 3 of the building and, whatever, building and
Grounds, yeah.
ground. It was with Tony and Charlie. One time we met at Riverside, another time we met at City Hall. And Chrissy Rossi was at 2 that I went to. So the public
Right.
was even there.
Right.
But Ben said we could, as long as no formal vote was taken.
Mhm.
on anything and that as long as it
Right.
was posted, that we weren't
Right.
being sneaky about it. So
Right. So we
I
can't
think
do
it's a
that. I
great
mean,
idea.
if someone wants to join in, we never take any votes anyway at this committee.
Right, do we
No,
have
exactly.
public comment on this though right now? We don't
What?
have public comment even listed on this, right?
No.
No,
Honestly,
and
we
when,
we treat it like a workshop, really.
right. And when I went to the building ones, I don't know if they were allowed to speak, but they never did. Like Chrissy never
No,
said
I
a
don't
word.
know. So I've
They-
I think they can observe, but they
Right.
can't participate because she never said a word.
Right,
Yeah,
Karen,
correct.
I've gone to many workshops at other districts and I can't speak, but I can sit there and then they look at you like,
Yes.
why are you here? But I do it because I learn from stuff. I learn.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
learn how things work and they put, you walk in, there's like 3 chairs, you walk in and there you sit against the wall. I did this a lot during when the budget commission was here. I went to a lot of neighboring districts. I went to Bristol Warren actually a lot.
Yeah.
And you sit there against the wall and
Yeah.
and they look at you and but they respect you that you're there and you don't talk and you just sit there and listen. And that's how I learned what workshops were and how they worked. And they just go round table. You just sit there and they just talk. But the public is welcome.
Yeah.
I was always the only person there. Actually, a friend of mine went with me, but we were always the only people there. There was never, that wasn't videotaped. It wasn't, for video consumption at the time, but there was, notes taken and stuff, but it was only people were just shooting out ideas. That's all it was about.
Yeah.
Everyone came up with an idea when someone else had an idea. You fed off people's ideas and that's kind of where I am right now. I think with some of these policies, that's where we need ideas shot off. And I think, when we get to this point and you don't know who's watching, unfortunately, we're not in a room. We don't know who's watching. They may think we're finished with this policy and we're not. And I do know that we go for a vote eventually on this. So I understand the reason why it has to be live because we are going to go for a vote after 2 reads of this.
Right.
But I want people to understand that this is us doing our work. This is us shooting ideas at each other. This is
Yeah.
us looking at something that we got, a couple days ago, writing some notes. This is the first time all 3 of us are talking about it together
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
front of whomever. I don't even know. I don't know who's watching. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And I apologize.
That's
for
why
that.
it really does need to be a workshop.
I have 2 of the loudest dogs snoring in my house right now. And they're so loud that I'm embarrassed. So, it is the first time that we look at this. So if the public, when we normally talk about this, we're in a room, which is public knowledge, no one comes now and can see us. And if they think, oh, what are these people talking about? Well, we're talking because this is our ideas are now
Yes.
taught. Karen thought of an idea. I wrote it down. I have it right there, and I'm hoping that it comes up.
How will we set an agenda though? Like I asked that the restraint policy be looked at, but what now, do we want other things on the agenda? Cheryl, do you want
I
to
would
just go in
think- I would
order?
suggest that anything that you guys want to add like to an agenda for the workshop, because we're going to have Sharon do that little agenda and post it. So if there's
Okay.
stuff that you want to put on it, email. And then if I have policies that just need a review, like some I'm going through right
Hey,
now.
Cheryl, how bad do you want your blood pressure to go up? How about we do this?
Ugh.
No, thank you.
So Cheryl, can I ask you to add to that
Okay, that's
agenda,
what I
to
said.
put on that agenda then the restraint one?
I already
So I
have
will
it.
email you that, okay? And then
Okay.
if we don't email you anything, you'll add a couple that,
Yeah,
Just a
some
quick
that'll have
review.
just the review. The
yeah,
receipt policy, we're gonna put on the crowd
Cheryl,
policy. And
how about, I don't even know how to word this. When you put in a little sticky note for the attendance policy this year? Are we doing anything about that?
I really think we need to lay low with that for a while.
Okay, so we're just gonna, well, I didn't know if we were gonna say we're laying low this year on the, like, no, just let it go?
Let me talk with Kathy a little bit
Okay.
about, but I think we have bigger fish to fry.
I know that the grading is still out there. I'm not gonna let that go. Karen, I just want you to be aware, I've asked for the grading and I'm gonna ask again at the next meeting. The other thing that I think that we need to discuss during these times of COVID is plagiarism. Cause watch this. Okay, Google. Very easy.
What'd you just do? I don't get it.
Watch. Okay, Google. What is 48 times 13?
The answer is 624.
Where'd you get that?
Okay, Google.
Oh, Siri?
Okay, Google. What's the weather going to be like tomorrow?
Tomorrow, it'll be partly cloudy with a high of 73 and a low of 61.
Okay,
God.
Google. Who is the 33rd president?
The 33rd president of the United States was Harry S. Truman, who was
So-
in office from April 12th, 1945 to
Well,
January.
but
So I
now,
do know
Jessica,
other districts are looking at plagiarism right now, because of the amount of students that, okay, Google, okay, Alexa, that they saw.
I'm flattered.
Oh.
But that's not me.
Okay.
I'm your Google assistant.
See, he's flattered that
Jessica, another big issue, I think it's this week, our students are being tested with iReady. And parents, if you're not in education and you don't realize that that is simply a benchmark, it has nothing to do with the grade, but in order for the program to work efficiently, it has to identify where that child is. But
Correct.
a parent at home,
Correct.
I'm sure, is going to be very frustrated when their child, because what happens is as they're taking the test, the questions get progressively harder until they hit a point where they can't answer it. And kids get frustrated when they did it in class. You often had to give, worry about it. And I repeatedly explained, no, it's supposed to be too hard. That's probably a 9th grade question, and I tease them and everything else. But a mom is going to be like, oh, let me help you. You know what I mean? How accurate are those going to be? And I don't think people intentionally will mess it up. But you're right. When these kids are home, there's a big challenge there. How do you assess?
Heads up, there are people watching me because they just laughed at the whole okay Google and that answered me that I just said Alexa. So there are people watching. Just heads up on that today.
Okay.
So this is a good question that we're talking about right now.
Well, it is. And I can see people, when I saw that they were doing the iReady, I thought, oh boy. If people, you have a human nature to try to help your child.
Of course you do.
But you don't, but do they really understand what that is? It's not an assessment or for a grade or anything else. The program builds itself. If I'm taking it and I'm struggling with division within that program, when I get questions, I'm going to get questions at that level.
Correct.
If a parent helps a child, they're going to be way over where they should be when they're doing it independently later.
And Karen, I really
difficult.
hope that those teachers explained that, because your explanation right now was spot on to something that's already happened, to a homework assignment that's already happened to a friend of mine, that she helped her son with a problem at the last problem that she did, and he couldn't do it. And then her and her husband could not do it either. And now I understand why they couldn't do it. And it was 6th grade. And now I understand why they couldn't do it. I never questioned what device they were on when they did the problem.
Right. And
they
that
did it
program,
on the
because
side,
they want to allow for kids who are higher than grade level
I hope
to excel so that their instructional pieces will be higher. So there are questions on there that are much higher than a student should be able to do. And that was the thing that I kept stressing to the kids, we don't know which ones, don't worry about it. You know, but you have to constantly be saying, I did when the kids were taking, so they weren't freaking out.
Right.
So parents at home, I think, are gonna struggle with it. To just close your eyes and don't. It's hard. It's hard. You want to help your kid.
Yeah, so we're a little over on this.
All right.
Okay,
Okay.
so yeah, so I would like to look at, yeah, so let's look at the plagiarism policy that we have. I would like to look at it and see it, and that may just be per school. Per school each has their own, and maybe the SIT teams can look at it and present it to us. And not us anymore, which means we eliminate it from our book, Cheryl. We don't have to worry about it anymore.
That's a good idea.
Okay. I'll find
I'd like
out.
to, maybe we can look from,
Jessica, will you just email Ben Scungio?
I already did.
Good girl. Okay, and we got the restraint policy, the plagiarism, we got the one we were just talking about today, and the mask, face mask policy, which I'll have revised with what we talked about. Jessica,
Awesome.
that send me
I will send that to you, and you just I'm just gonna make sure that I can edit the things that I need to edit.
Yeah, if you can't send it like that, because I have the Adobe and I can edit.
Oh, you got the Adobe. I don't have the Adobe. I'm sure my son's got the Adobe, but I do not.
I'm sure.
Yeah, but then we should get it for you so that you can do that.
So I can do more work. No, thank you, Karen. But thanks for the offer.
Yeah. Nice idea, Karen. But
I think you should have it.
Matt, you
this
got
might
the
be
Adobe.
a nice warm one.
Oh, which one? He's got plenty of Adobes.
All right,
I love
guys.
having him home from school. Okay, bye
All
guys.
right.